Good morning, my dear students. Today we shall be looking at the topic friction, and we'll look at the objectives of the topic, which include definition of friction. We need to understand how to define friction. State the laws of frictions. There are almost 5 laws of frictions, which we need to know how to do that. Calculation of friction. There's a formula that was derived from the law of friction, and calculation, simple calculation, to test our understanding on the laws of friction. We should be able to state the advantages and disadvantages of friction. Friction have several advantages and several disadvantages. So at the end of this topic, we'll be able to know those advantages and those disadvantages of friction. And should be able to state how friction can be reduced. Friction can be reduced in many ways, using oil. Okay, these are many ways of there are many ways of reducing friction, and we are going to see as we continue. Good morning, students. Today we shall be looking at the topic friction, and at the end of this topic you will be able to define friction, state the laws of friction, do some simple calculations on friction, list the advantages and disadvantages of friction, and state how friction can be reduced. So, the definition: friction. Friction is the force that prevents the motion of the body when two surfaces are in contact with each other. Friction is greater when the surfaces of the body in contact are rough than when they are in smooth way. Friction slows down things and acts in the opposite direction the way they are moving. If you place an object on the table, there is a friction between the surface of the object and the surface of the table. So that force is called frictional force. And if the surface is rough, friction is higher than when the surface is smooth. So the more the surface, the rougher the surface, the more the friction. If the surface is rough, friction will be high. But if the surface is smooth, friction will be slow or reduced. So look at the boy that is pushing a bus on the surface. There's a friction between the surface of the bus and the ground. And the boy will find it more easier if the surface of the two contacts between the bus and the ground is smooth than when the surfaces are rough. So friction is very high when surfaces are rough. Now let's look at the laws of friction. The first one says that when an object is moving, the frictional force is proportional and perpendicular to the normal reaction, meaning that friction is proportional to normal reaction. Normal reaction is the opposite force. So friction is independent of the area of surfaces in contact. Independent of the area, irrespective of the area of contact of the object on the surface, friction will still take place. Even if the area is small, provided there is contact between two surfaces, friction will occur. The coefficient of static friction is slightly greater than the coefficient of kinetic friction. Within the rather large limit, kinetic friction is independent of velocity. Friction depends upon the nature of the surfaces in contact. So, the nature of surface will determine the value of friction. If the friction will be high or if the friction will be low. So, if the surface is rough, friction will be high. If the surface is low or is smooth, friction will be low. Now, so let's look at formula that was derived from the law of friction. From the first law, that will say that frictional force is proportional to normal reaction. The F there is the frictional force, while the R, capital letter R, is the normal reaction. And the sign between them is proportionality sign. Remember in mathematics, if you are to remove the proportionality sign, you are going to introduce two things: the equality sign and the constant. The constant in this case is called the coefficient of frictional force. The F is in Newton, the normal reaction is in Newton, while the constant coefficient of friction has no unit. Now, from the formula, you're able to do some simple calculation. Let's say example 1. Calculate the frictional force if the normal reaction is 10 Newton and the coefficient of friction is 2. Solution. So from this question, frictional force is unknown. Normal reaction, which is R, is 10 Newton, while mu, which is coefficient of static friction, is 2. So using the formula that says F is equal to UR, so frictional force is equal to 5 times 2, which is equal to what? 10 Newton. So the frictional force is 10 Newton. Example 2. Calculate the coefficient of friction if the frictional force is 20 Newton and the normal reaction is 5 Newton. So in this question, we have to calculate mu, U, which is the coefficient of friction, is unknown. F is the frictional force, is 20 Newton, and half is normal reaction is 5 Newton. So using the formula S is equal to U half, I'm making U the subject of the formula by dividing both sides by half. So we now have U is equal to F over half. Then, which is 20, F is 20, R is 5, and the answer will be 4. Remember that U, which is a constant, has no unit. So the final answer for this is 4. So let us now quickly look at the advantages of friction. Now, 1, friction makes humans stand and walk without slipping on the floor, unlike what you expect on the polished floor. Now, it is the friction that enables movement, that allows you to move from one place to another because of the contact between the sole of your shoe and the ground surface. So friction makes a moving vehicle come to a stop whenever its brakes are applied. Friction makes sharpening of tools like cutlass possible. It makes the use of belt possible in machines. These are advantages of friction. What are the advantages of friction? Number 1, friction generates unwanted heat when the parts of machine are rubbed together. Even when you rub your two palms together for like probably some minutes, you generate, and you put at the surface of your cheek, you generate some kind of friction, some kind of heat, which your cells are going to feel at the surface of your cheek. So friction produces heat, unwanted heat. That's one of the disadvantages. 2, friction causes wear and tear, resulting in the production of heat. Yes, when you wear your shoe for a long time, for a long period, you see the sole of the shoe become wear and tear. This is due to what? To friction. Friction reduces the efficiency of a machine. Now, look at the shoe. This is caused due to friction. And what are the ways by which friction can be reduced? 1, use of lubricants such as oil and grease at the two surfaces. You reduce friction by that. 2, by polishing or smoothing the surface in contact. And 3, use of ball bearing or roller can also reduce friction. Thank you for listening.